for you. And I was reminded of it the other day when we interviewed someone in Markham, Ontario, who had a fairly thick Chinese accent, but she said she was very concerned about out-of-control immigration. And you might think, well, that's a contradiction. Well, no, not really, because someone who came to Canada legally and is frustrated by the overwhelming and fraudulent asylum seekers, for example, or fake students, they would be mad, even though they themselves are an immigrant. And I thought, shame on me for maybe having a stereotype that she would not be against immigration. I mean, I guess because there was some cognitive dissonance. I got a question for you about this same thing. And I'm just going to throw it out there. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. Some people in Hollywood, I forget the particular star, has 2, 3 trans kids. And I think, that is not random. That is the result of a sort of a luxury belief by a white liberal that having a trans kid is sort of something that you show off to friends, like having like a collection or something. And I want to know if your experience, the people who support transgenderism are sort of well-to-do liberals who have first world problems. Contrast that with, say, a new Canadian or a new American immigrant, perhaps from an ethnic background, who's more focused on, I got to succeed in America, I got to succeed in Canada, I got to pay the bills, I want to raise my kids and want them to go to a good school. Like, I just wonder if you see that this is a luxury issue by wealthy, women who lunch, ladies who lunch kind of thing. I don't know. I don't think I put my question too clearly to you, but is there, go ahead.
Yes, so I basically have 100% support from the immigrant communities, Hispanic communities. Of course, this isn't happening in the Muslim community at all. It's not happening in the Chinese community. It's not happening with the Hispanics. This is really pushed 90% of the time by young white women. And I don't even like saying that because I don't want to upset the ladies out there, but it's true. And so truth is truth. All of these young women going to university, taking women's studies or gender studies as they're now called, feminist studies, they're all coming out of university with the belief that people are transgender and that kids are going to commit suicide if we don't transition them. They believe puberty blockers are reversible. They fall for all these lies that are taught to them. And I understand that because they're being taught by authority figures in their life, university professors. But this is a suicidal empathy all across the West, not just on this issue, but all sorts of issues. And unfortunately, empathy often comes from women, and it's a beautiful thing when it's used correctly. But bad actors are taking advantage of women's natural empathy, and they're lying to them, and they're indoctrinating a generation. So this is one more reason why it's so important to do this on universities.
Suicidal empathy, that's a phrase Gad Saad uses. I think you're right. It's also a kind of projection. I mean, occasionally you see someone on Instagram or something who says, my dog is vegetarian, I'm feeding my dog. And it's projecting, like a dog needs meat. They're called canines. Our teeth are called canines for a reason. It's designed to eat meat. To force a dog to be vegan because you are is I think there's an analogy there. It's not a very good one, but I think what's happening is these liberal, progressive women want their child to be an expression of their ideology as opposed to the child's own biology. And as you say, children can't choose puberty blockers. It's a very crazy thing. Let me ask you, I started off by talking about how Donald Trump really seized the lead. And I think that was an issue that's one of those 80-20 issues where 80% of people are on side, even if they're not going to say so out loud. It cuts beyond partisan divides. Like, I bet you that the majority of people, even in liberal cities, agrees with this. And for Trump to come in and be the defender of women was quite something that I think it was, as J.K. Rowling herself noted, it was a missed opportunity for Democrats. In Canada, there has not been the same courage, except, I dare say, in Alberta under Premier Danielle Smith. Have I missed someone? Is there another premier who's taken a hardline stance? I think in Nova Scotia they tried to but lost an election or something. Maybe I'm wrong there. Is there any champion for women's rights and women's spaces in Canada other than Danielle Smith?
Only Danielle Smith.
Really? Give me your thoughts. I'm sure you've read her policy. I wouldn't be surprised if you were consulted on it. So give me your thoughts on what Alberta's doing.
So Danielle Smith's ban on this is no more puberty blockers or cross-sex hormones for children under 16 years of age. And I'm glad they're doing this. It's an improvement. It is, however, a half measure because we shouldn't be harming all these 16 and 17-year-olds either. They're the only jurisdiction in the world where when they put this ban into effect, did it for just kids 15 and under. And the trans activists get just as mad if you do this for under 19 compared to if you do it for under 16. Right. So they should just extend that ban to everyone at least 18 and under, in my opinion. But it is a great first step. It starts a lot of conversations. Of course, a judge tried to block this right away. So she's doing what honestly is one of the best parts of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, in my opinion. She's invoking the notwithstanding clause. So the notwithstanding clause enables the premier or the prime minister to basically overrule a judge for 5 years.
Yeah.
Because we shouldn't be ruled by judges. Yeah. When we elect a politician and they put into place policies that we elected them to put into place, we shouldn't have judges stopping that, because then that's the end of democracy. And all of our judiciary has been trained by trans activists to look at this in only one way. And we have all these human rights codes, and we even have federal laws banning parents from protecting their kids. If the child thinks they're transgender, you're not allowed to say, no, sweetheart, you're really just a girl, and we're not going to go along with this. That could technically have them charged with conversion therapy. So everything's just upside down. She's leading the way, and hopefully there's a contagion effect to other politicians where they find the courage to tackle this as well.
Well, I want to let you know that Rebel News is the proud publisher of a book called Buck, the Rainbow Unicorn. I don't know if you've heard of that. Our talent, Lise Merle, has published that book, and it became the #1 best-selling LGBTQ2QSL plus book in Canada. I think some of the people who bought it didn't realize that the book resolves, I shouldn't give away the spoiler here, in a way that you, I think, would say, yeah, I mean, you know, kids can be confused for a bit in their life, but don't chop them up because of it. I won't give away the ending, but I should tell our viewers, you can find out more at bucktherainbowunicorn.com. And Chris, I think we'll have to send you a copy. I'd love for you to review the book. Anyhow, that was just a little plug, forgive me. I got a question for you. I remember before Elon Musk took over Twitter, I was careful because I didn't want to, I mean, I got, I don't know, 500,000 followers on Twitter, which is a powerful tool. So I didn't want to get suspended unless it was for a very important reason. And one of the things I noticed is that I would be suspended if I misgendered someone, which means calling a biological male a man instead of what they claim to be, or if I dead named someone, that is, call someone their name that their mama gave them as opposed to their adopted stage name. And I want to tell you, Chris, that I've tweeted an enormous amount in my life about every possible subject, and I can tell you that no other issue, not Islamophobia, not homophobia, not xenophobia, nothing would be as rigorously, vigorously, and speedily attended to other than those transgressions. Like, they would catch it within 20 minutes and suspend you. I've never seen anything so vigorous. Why and how did the trans lobby become so urgent and powerful? I just don't get it. It's like it came out of nowhere 10 years ago, and it became the most vicious censorship force that I experienced. And believe me, I've experienced a lot of censorship in my life. Can you explain that for me?
Sure. So really, the sexual revolution started 60 years ago, and it wasn't until about 2015 all across the world that they won gay rights. And so what happens to all of these nonprofits? They don't just close the doors, they keep going, and they made their new objective trans rights. So we have billions of dollars from all of these NGOs, from the UN, from the World Health Organization, from certain billionaires themselves just donating, and of course from governments. We have the Canadian government has sent, I think, about $12 billion overseas on gender equity initiatives. We have the US government, especially under the Biden and Obama administration, where they were sending tens of billions of dollars overseas to universities, etc. And so this has not been an organic movement at all. This has been entirely orchestrated and funded in a concerted effort from the left. And as soon as we start pushing back against it, all of this money and all of this power and all of these zealots start fighting back. And they don't like losing because they've never lost anything for 60 years. All they've been doing is winning. And for the first time, we're actually pushing back on one of their agendas because they went too far. Saying that children are transgender, that they were born in the wrong body. Well, all sorts of people from the left don't agree with that either. But the short answer is there's a ton of money up against us, tens of billions of dollars. And what do we have? We have parents like myself leading the charge with no money at all. But we have something they don't have. We have the truth. And I always say the truth spreads for free. And it's going to keep spreading because people know that they've gone too far, but they conflated the T with the LGB, and that brought them so much success, it brought them so much money, and it also brought them fear because they were able to instill fear in anyone who speaks out against it. But we have to eliminate that because this isn't about gay, this is about something entirely different. This is a denial of reality and an attack on our kids.